So first of all, it is a pleasure to be here. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Ryan. I've had the pleasure of running LinkedIn for a while. LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft. For the past few months, I've had the pleasure of also working on a lot of the AI efforts inside of Microsoft as well. So these discussions are great. It was wonderful to listen to the panelists before. I have a daughter who is a sophomore in college, as you do as well. And running LinkedIn, the most common question I get from her friends, from anyone in general, is like, what is the future of the labor market going to look like? And for the most part, I tell people the same thing across the board. The same thing I tell my daughters, what I tell the rest of the world, which is usually a good thing, which is that it is a time of remarkable change. But I think that there's a lot of opportunity and hope in these times of change as well. So I typically, kind of rely back to three things, which is, first and foremost, my goodness, please get out there and, try and use all of these tools. And even if you hate them, like, embrace it, like, try it, see what you learn, see what you can do differently. But I'm telling you, like, I see it across the LinkedIn member base. There's this mindset of like, oh, AI is not a thing, so I'm not going to pay attention to it. Like, this should be an obvious thing. It's obvious inside of this crowd, but like, my goodness, if you are a, career starter right now, like, try all the tools, learn them, get great. Number two, which is a little bit unique, but like, do not forget the human element. So, an ability to sit down and have a conversation with someone, to look someone in the eye, to be empathetic, to be collaborative, to work inside of a team. I do think that, the human component is a really important component for people to be able to stand out. It could be your competitive advantage to be good at it. So don't forget kind of the human side of things when AI is kind of all the hype. But then most importantly, my goodness, like, this next generation, especially like my daughter, who, has these huge dreams of like changing the world for the better, and thank goodness that her, and that group do, around issues like climate change or, poverty, like these really meaty problems that exist in the world. It's like, now that AI exists, like, you have permission to really dream big. These are the problems that, quite honestly, like, 5 years ago, I would have told you were going to be really hard to solve. Now you have these tools to go and think bigger and solve them, to recreate new industries, to think of new ideas, to solve problems once thought couldn't be solved. So I do think there's a pretty optimistic view to all of it if you can put yourself in that mindset of embracing it. Don't forget to be a great human being and like dream big on what can come out of it. So that's what I tell my daughter. What do you tell yours?
I told her it's okay to skip class at Carnegie Mellon so she can go and listen to speeches like this and
smart,
panels like this. Seriously, it's like she's going to learn more outside the classroom in hackathons. That's where the action is. And we're going to come back to this topic at the end. There's a little surprise for everybody, but room of CXOs here. What advice do you give them in terms of the workforce, how that's going to change? You talk about the messy middle. What should they be thinking about?
Well, I think if you look back through history, the story often goes like this through a labor market transition. The world's going along, some new technology happens, and then, oh my goodness, productivity soars and like life is great and the world is amazing. What people often forget in that story is the messy middle part of that, which is often a lot of uncertainty, people needing to retrain, to learn new jobs, to lose their jobs. That is oftentimes something that is lost in the great stories of history. My hope right now, and I think that we're starting to enter it, quite frankly, and we can talk about it from kind of two perspectives, is number one, how do you manage a company through something like this? And honestly, for me, and LinkedIn's a company of nearly 20,000 people, so it's a very large. It's probably a larger company than maybe at least the startup folks here, obviously. But for me, it all kind of boils down, quite frankly, to being like culture, values, and then just being super intentional about what you're doing. So culture, what is culture? Everyone has a different definition. For me, culture is defined as the collective personality of an organization. It's who you are, but more importantly, it's who you aspire to be. And in my view, unless you're intentional about it, that culture is going to, take on a life of its own, and it's going to either be one of your greatest assets or your greatest problems in making really good, difficult decisions or changing what your company looks like. So At LinkedIn, we're very intentional about who we are, what we do. I think it's probably our biggest competitive advantage, quite frankly, to navigating any change that exists in the world. So first and foremost, it's like you're either on a common ground of what you're trying to accomplish as a company with your leadership team, with the employee base, et cetera, or you're kind of swimming blindly, and I would not want to be in the latter. So first and foremost, being intentional what you stand for, and open and honest with what you stand for with the company. I mean, I think people know there's going to be a lot of change, and at least for me, and everyone can run their company differently, but being upfront about what that's going to be, and setting expectations makes a lot of these things go a lot easier. Secondly, we've tried a lot of different approaches then to what making AI work inside of our company looks like. And we're on the bleeding edge, like we're part of Microsoft, got it. Like we have all the access to everything you could possibly have. But fundamentally, it's not like you can just say, hey, everyone, like go be great at AI. Like that doesn't work at all. And quite frankly, you have to nail that, like, why are we doing this? Or else the whole thing is going to fall apart. So there was a time I would go back 18 months ago and, I'd see a lot of companies being like, hey, we need to transform our company to be an AI company because, we're going to save a ton of money and be able to get rid of a ton of employees. Like, good luck, like trying to navigate your company through that if that's your top line message. So I've seen a lot of people go down that path and then back up from that, because that's not going to be it. Like, why would you want to like work at a company like that? Why would you want to try and innovate who you are as an employee like that? You got to find something that's a little bit different. For us, it's kind of come down to, number one, we are embracing kind of what we call a human plus environment. So it's, we very purposely put the word human at the core of everything that we do. The plus is how do we help this accentuate what you're doing or help make you better? And then we completely rely on this idea of agency. Like literally, how do you become a 10x employee? How do you become better at your job? How do you free up more time for what it is you want to be accomplishing in your career? You have that agency to go and do that. It's not a tops-down thing, quite frankly. It's not like, hey, everyone go and use these tools. That's not how this is going to work either. It's very bottoms-up. We have budgets. We have an ability for anyone to go and try a certain tool as long as it's kind of IT approved inside of their team, inside of their function, inside of their org to see if it's going to work. Every 2 weeks, we get in front of the entire company. We have a company all hands every 2 weeks where everyone shares some of the things that they've learned and the tools that they're using. It's all bottoms up. If I was to say, hey, everyone, go and use, this tool, they'd be like, screw you, man. But like when it's a bunch of the actual builders that are like, hey, look at what I did this week. And it's not engineers, it's finance people, it's marketers, it's salespeople that are showing all these things. And then it kind of builds this inertia of everyone wanting to be part of this, seeing how it's making things better. They're part of like solving the equation. So, so far, that's a lot of the things that I've seen work really well, at least for us at LinkedIn. And some of the companies that we see, obviously, doing it well are taking very similar kind of bottoms-up approaches, which I think works out very well. So that's inside of the company. There's a bigger responsibility, I feel, quite frankly, across the LinkedIn platform, which is that my hope is how do we use all of the LinkedIn data, all of the things that we know about the global labor market, the economy shifts, where supply demand gaps exist for any skills, et cetera, to help at least compress that messy middle for a billion people who are trying to figure out what their future looks like in an AI world. And so, if you think about LinkedIn, hopefully some of you have it as a blue app on your phone, but underneath that app is a super vibrant graph. It's nearly 1.2 billion people, 60 million companies. At any given time, there's roughly 20 million jobs posted by those 60 million companies. In all of those jobs, we understand the skills that are necessary to get those jobs. And we map all that together in what we call the economic graph. And that graph is super vibrant. It updates, north of 5 million times per minute. And inside of that graph is a ridiculous amount of valuable data that exists on the global labor market. Which companies are about to go out of business? Who's about to get acquired? More importantly, where do skill gaps exist anywhere in the world? What skills are on the rise? What skills should you not be learning right now? And we have a responsibility to take that data and share it with the world to help them understand, hey, everyone's job in this room, everyone's job in the world is a set of tasks. And if you are currently in a job where that set of tasks have a high likelihood of being automated, you need to find a new job. So we have a responsibility to tell people that and share that data and help them understand, hey, if you learn these two skills, there's a job right here that would match what you're able to do. that feels more resilient for the future. So a lot of my time is spent trying to figure out how to help, a billion people navigate through this. And then, but unless our company can do it, none of that really matters.
So how are you using AI to help you personally?
Oh my gosh, I use AI all day. So one of the most important things we've learned recently, this is now on the Microsoft, like the Copilot side of the house, is it's really cool and awesome to be able to, to kind of go to a chat app and have a conversation. That actually bringing Copilot and AI into the flow of work is where the real magic happens. So I wake up every day, I'm sent this crazy dashboard at LinkedIn at 5:45 every morning that has, no exaggeration, roughly, a little bit north of 100 lines of data of everything that happened the previous day on the platform. New signups, ad clicks, job postings, you name it. And, now I get that email. I'm in the iOS Outlook app. No one has this yet. You'll have it soon, hopefully. You push a button, the Copilot button, and you can just basically ask questions over that data in the flow of work. What happened yesterday? What should I pay attention to? What's out of line? Something that used to probably take me like 45 minutes to go line by line and really understand what's happening with the ecosystem. I can now just ask Copilot to do it for me and literally, save a ton of time and leverage that then allows me to go and, fire off 30 really mad emails to anyone whose, metric is in the wrong place. So, just a ton of taking complex tasks and breaking it down is where I use it, predominantly. On the LinkedIn platform, we've seen a ton of great uses for it. We just recently released a brand new job search. So again, at any time, there's 20 million jobs at LinkedIn. My assumption is no one in this room is job searching, but if you were job searching, what you would learn is that process is typically you type in a bunch of random keywords. You have to know which filters to sort by to find a job that's great for you. AI is great at reasoning over that entire jobs database in a natural language, just talking to it. I'm interested in finding a job where I can use my finance skills and work on video games, or I want to work at a company that's, helping bring humanity to Mars. The set of jobs that are relevant to you can just pop up. So we've seen a ridiculous increase in people using the job product through that. So I think my point is the more that we can find building AI into kind of some of the natural flows and jobs to be done, instead of creating, really unique new ones, is where I find a lot of value.